course, SKT had the highs, right? We'll remember the Wombos, but C9 had ordered drafts. They also have different priority on champions to other people. Range junglers like the first banned Ezreal here are at a higher priority for Cloud9. I don't know if you ban a Graves, but things get very interesting when you see Ezreal first banned.
Yeah, certainly the case, and of course the expected bans from Cloud9. We're not really looking towards AD carries as a major focus between these teams. Scout, we mentioned him already. Contractz has been a standout player, but it's also working with Jensen, so a lot of the pick ban may revolve around those roles. However, that's usually the later part of the ban phase, especially between these teams.
I mean, at the end of the day, this week has been shattering NA expectations. Sadly, for the negative yesterday, but I think with Cloud9 at Worlds in general, it's not just a one-note Jensen team. Impact, Contractz have had big performances. Sneaky and Smoothie have been reliable, and I've been impressed with the drafts as well, so credit to Reaper. They don't read the game the same way. One thing I want to note, they have shown no priority on Jarvan. They are happy for their enemies to take Jarvan, at least as of week 1. I don't think things are going to change.
And it hasn't. Jarvan makes it through the pick ban phase. Janna is still up and available. Jarvan as well. We'll see what they decide to lock in. It is the Jarvan, Rusty.
Yeah, so they locked themselves in one of the LPL specials when you regard this champion. No Galio being removed from Summoner's Rift either is something worth considering. Scout can play more things than Lucian for everyone at home that doesn't really know what he plays. He does have a decently large champion pool. He just likes to work in a similar way to Double Lift with one champion. He plays the one champion.
And if Cloud9's on blue side, they're happy to first pick Xayah. Now, Xayah was banned here, but their Janna priority, like a lot of teams in week 2, has been going up and up. A lot of AD carry options open they could lock in here, or maybe just match what they expect to be a jungle matchup, because probably going to be clear love on the Jarvan.
And it's still the Twitch or the Kog'Maw for AD carries that stand to attention. Tristana as well, another big option if you want lane priority. And C9 have the choice of whatever they would like, or they could pick a jungler here, depending on which they would prefer. The big thing that stands out to me is they choose Jarvan. EDG, knowing that Janna was there, knowing they may not get the best support, and Janna statistically, and from what we have just seen, is the best support running around. Pretty big risk from EDG, and really good from Cloud9 to just pick it up.
You talked about statistically, Janna coming into today, 76% win ratio here at Worlds 2017. Has another win under the belt, complemented by that Kog'Maw, as we just saw from the previous game. And Galio locked in, expecting that for Scouts.
Galio has actually been very highly banned the last couple of days after we saw a lot of it in Samsung's group a few days ago. It is actually a strong pick against the style C9 like to run, because if you're relentlessly invading the enemy jungle, Galio will react faster than basically any champion short of Shen when it comes to actually getting there. In fact, it's even faster channel time. We mentioned the ranged junglers. I think they'd prefer to hold it to later, but they're afraid of a second round ranged jungler ban, and they take first round Graves.
Yeah, wow, showing their hands super early here, you're right. They may have wanted to hold on to that one till later, but it's the solo laners that get the later game treatment here. Red side draft will be handy for C9 in that regard. EDG can start to attack certain roles here. Remember, the Galio can go top lane for Mouse if that's how they want to play this one out, dependent on what they see from Scout.
Shen, is it a ban? Is it something you consider? Do you let it through with what you're seeing on the table? Twitch is already taken off by Cloud9, and there's still 3 bans remaining.
It's something you consider. I definitely think Shen is an important pick here, but I'm not sure that they will ban it out. They are choosing to. So once again, that means aggression usually through that middle lane, something that the Shen completely diffuse.
And now you're depowering a proactive invading jungler. No Shen to be there. A Galio to respond first. This was C9's bread and butter when they were winning, always having a rotational advantage. You can't really craft one with just the champions left open in the pool.
And that's the thing for me, what else do you actually pick for C9? Is it a mid laner that's got really strong lane priority that can come and help Contractz? Is there another champion that EDG either recognized or C9 are prepared to pick that can protect Contractz as he goes around? I like this next ban from EDG because once again, shields protecting Contractz as he goes forwards is good to have.
Does Ryze raise in priority here at all?
Another rotational champion that Jensen has shown proficiency on. It would sort of be a blind pick and sort of not at this point, given what's already been shown on the side of EDG, but if they're going to look to help Contractz, which has been their way, they're taking a lot of time. They're going to hold the mid lane pick and just look for top lane priority, because at least Cho'Gath you can rely on. If it is the Galio matchup, has the true damage, potentially take him down, but push, push, push is the Cho'Gath way.
Yeah, Cho'Gath is going to be a good pick here. Rumble already banned by C9, so Mouse should default to tanks. and that depends on where, of course, the Galio is going to be. Now, what I wanted to talk about here before this does get locked in at all is it might be a Taliyah on the opposing side, which is why Lucian's a possibility.
I completely forgot about Taliyah as well. Champion that has been very, very important in many of the other groups that have taken place. So the Maokai locked in, going to be in Mouse's hands, most likely up in that top lane. Leaves us with the AD carry option left for iBoy. I completely forgotten that Tristana had fallen by the wayside. And Caitlyn was used exceptionally well yesterday. Rusty, which do you think it's going to be?
Should be Caitlyn. If it's Vayne, I will be shocked.
Yeah.
Vayne's very good into Cho'Gath, but he's against a Kog'Maw Janna, so Vayne would just lose that lane. It would not be a good time. Caitlyn has much more control, can work with the Lulu. That's a pretty potent 2v2.
And it's definitely assuming some things, but this is the second Chinese team this week that has gone back to the Caitlyn thought gone after the nerfs around patch 7.18. So it will mean that in the 2v2, whether it was Kog'Maw or Twitch, Caitlyn will more than not have lane control. We wondered about the Ryze. The Taliyah being open is another one to consider, but I think Ryze makes a lot of sense for them. It does mean that multiple members, if they are around that realm warp, can be grouped in. I still expect C9 to be on the front foot, but EDG have read Cloud9's Worlds 2017 group stage tendencies, and they have a strong draft to answer the questions C9 were posing last week.
It certainly feels like a lot of what EDG have sculpted for themselves in this game, not the last time that these two teams faced, is much better prepared and much more well-equipped to deal with Cloud9. However, C9's composition is still incredibly strong. Ryze can clear waves decently fast, about the same speed as a Galio early. That means they're both going to be unlocked as mid laners to help the junglers, but the junglers is a Graves into a Jarvan. That's all in C9's core.
Well, let's see how well Contractz can unlock his team. Led, from the front last week, a lot of invades. Actually had the highest counter jungle percentage of all junglers last week in terms of that first week of group stages. And, some first tier iBoy has not played Caitlyn at all this summer in the LPL.
I can't help but smile at seeing the old EDG coach shake the hand of the current one, old friends Reaper and Nofe. It's a different draft for Cloud9, and also, you do have to think, we wondered about Graves when it was locked in. How will it kill the tanks? There are some ultra tanks on the side of EDG, so the late game Graves play, I don't think it's the focus for C9. It's still pre-25 minutes where they feel like the match will be won.
Yeah, last time we saw Contractz play Graves, he had a last whisper, he had the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to dealing damage. No tankiness whatsoever, susceptible to death, but not when you're that far ahead, and that's what he's so good at doing.
Yeah, and I think he had the Shin that game as well, if I recall correctly, helped in his favor. So, EDG, Edward Gaming, the #1 seed from the LPL, led by the backbone, the spine, Clear Love. It is do or die. Lose here and you are out of World 2017. You do not advance to the knockout stage. Win, and you throw this entire group into disarray and excitement.
EDG in their home country, Clear Love in his hometown. The crowd is absolutely behind them, but they are 0-3 and they need to start with a bang.
So you see EDG grouping as 5. One of the few ways this game can snowball to control is a jungle advantage in the early game. If you expect Cloud9 to get frisky, and with the Graves you do, you invade as 5. You don't go for a 5-point defense. You get complete information on one side and have the ability to have a read on where Cloud9 is starting. There's only 2 sides of the map that are really likely. They can also re-invade their own jungle, so it's an information trip for EDG.
Yeah, they'll get that information. It's all about where the junglers start. The other thing that we're looking at regarding information before the minions all come and crash down is that Jensen has committed to the cleanse in the middle lane, so he is now very hard to gank. One thing that we've often spoken about, Papa Smoothie, is that Clear Love's not a big fan of mid lane. He doesn't often want to go there, except for the one time they did well, believe it or not. And now he's against a cleanse Ryze, very difficult place to actually find himself a successful gank.
We'll see how well Jensen can survive that laning phase and what sort of pressure Clear Love puts down on the table. All right, laning phase has started out here. Contractz going to get the help of Impact up in the top lane. Clear Love with an early invade. Steal away at least that blue buff. And just take a quick deeper dive on Contractz and these damage dealing junglers, Papa Smithy, because you mentioned you wanted to see him on those ranged style champions like the Graves and the Ezreal.
I just think if it's working for you, stick with it, and specifically on the left here. Damage percentage of team's damage. Contractz has done 24.5% of his team's damage. The average for junglers in Worlds Group Stage Week 1 is 11% when you remove his massive number, and that lets you know that he's been on a different role. He's been favoring the ranged junglers. The thing about a ranged jungler is if the enemy melee jungler every face checks you, or if, say, Jarvan EQs into your Raptors trying to steal them, you have range, you get the first auto. If you have the drop on them, it's so hard to get out safely as a melee jungler, and that's why you want to counter jungle, because whenever you spot the Jarvan, you're going all in and hoping your teammates can back you up.
And let's take an extra second as well for context within this game specifically for Clearlove and Contractz. He started at red buff, where Clearlove started at blue. So that means that Clearlove will have red for longer as more of a combat buff to have. Contractz is going to run out sooner. And so expectations that he looks for a gank of some kind before Clearlove does, that would be what you expect from him if he wants a gank to be successful.
The reason why EDG started with their members grouped around their red buff, then invaded, is that when it was Cloud9 on red side against AHQ, it was a Ezreal invade to red buff steal into his own red buff, and suddenly the Jarvan couldn't gank anything. Speaking of ganks, though,
this is the early gank you talked about, Rusty. Rune Prison comes down, Winds of War thrown out. The Durant taunt at least locks down one, and with no flash on Scout, that's a success. A
very successful gank. Something that Scout maybe should have been aware of as the opposite side of the jungle is being cleared.
Sorry, Scout be aware of
you take what you want from that sentence. Trevor, I'm just saying. He maybe wanted to know that that was coming, but good gank nonetheless from Contractz.
Not lost the irony of Scout and Scout's name. He often doesn't scout ahead, but he does scout with his head. So it's, you know, it's an awkward one for him.
Well, let's see what Scout does, because his Lucian play to round out week 1 of groups last Saturday or Sunday left a lot to be desired. Far too aggressive, far too forward in lane, far too open for being punished. And while, of course, Galio into Ryze in pre-6 is pretty easy for those Winds of War to shove, you do need to keep those openings under control.
And you want to celebrate the good parts of Scout, because he can do the sick outplays. His mechanics are very good. He had good laning phase in his first 2 games, and then, of course, went Rambo at 6 and died, not disrespecting the Shen. What I want to see from him here, as a counterpoint to his strengths, is to work on patching up a weakness, specifically playing around information, playing around vision. I don't completely lay everything onto Scout.
Yes, of course.
Worth noting, Clearlove put no aggressive vision when there was that lane priority, so Clearlove needs to help out his mid lane.
Well, Clearlove's helping out right now. Impact's got flash available, sidesteps the flag and drag, takes a couple of autos before flashing to safety. Clearlove says, Contractz, I see your gank, I will match it. Slowing the opponent top laner's flash as well.
Yeah, exactly. Relative to the gank's success, it's been pretty much matched between the two. Impact having the passive on Cho'Gath, however, means he'll stay at a higher health level than that of Scout, who was zoned away from multiple waves. In saying that, Scout's farm is still quite good.
Skirmisher's Saber already on the Jarvan, probably prompted the flash. This is one of those face checks I was talking about, Trevor.
Well, there's the auto attacks already, plus the end of the line burst damage. Contractz doesn't want to stick around too long. His Sneaky got polymorphed, turned into a little munchkin. iBoy going low, 180 HP as he continues to push Smoothie away from lane. Sneaky's waiting for those cooldowns on his W before looking for the re-engage.
Yeah, now the winner of that trade is still going to be EDG's bottom lane, because they have the mana, they have the ability to sustain themselves in lane.
Oh!
There he goes.
Clearlove steals, and Wuhan goes wham.
Thank you for the leash.
Those little moments mean a lot as a pro player, getting your tail up right early in the game. And the flag was down, so Contractz felt confident to invade, knowing that he couldn't EQ out. He still invaded.
Well, I said it in the pre-game. Let's see, fight. Who gets it this time, Contractz? Oh, not as excited here in Wuhan for that one.
They know who they like. They know who they like.
Absolutely the case. Take a quick look at this bottom lane, by the way. iBoy and Meiko, plus 10 CS, again, expected. It's Caitlyn, Lulu into Kog'Maw, Janna. Always going to be a difficult situation for Sneaky and Smoothie. But iBoy had a great week 1 performance for a guy who only became old enough to play on the 12th of July this year. If you see the damage rating on the left of your screen, that takes into account an adjusted average of how much damage you're expected to do on any champion. And he's plus 80% versus the average. This kid is amazing.
Yeah, basically that means he is incredible at League of Legends. And the biggest thing for iBoy is that he's played less than 30 games of competitive League of Legends at all. The man's barely 17 years old, and suddenly he just comes to the stage playing with Meiko, who is just a very much experienced member, shock caller for the team, high expectations on the shoulders of iBoy. And locally, at the very least, he has been delivering, comes to Worlds, and continues to show his strength as a player, something that you wouldn't have expected from him.
We definitely fact-checked that. We said, okay, he's finally eligible to play. Halfway through, he replaced Zet, formerly of the Rocks Tigers, their sub-mid laner Cry. He came in born July 12th, 2000.
Realm Warp's going to get the flash out of Clear Love, and as you mentioned, Papa, born July 12, 2000, very young kid, stepping up to the plate, but now the challenge is really on. 0-3 down, he's on a Caitlyn. There is a scary time window before that Kog'Maw starts to become more terrifying.
And the window is also exacerbated by there being a relic shield on the Kog'Maw, so it is very much the extended laning phase, don't want to lose turret, versus the more aggressive Doran's Blade as the invade comes through from C9.
And it's not just the invade onto the blue buff, it's coast to coast. They've gone from blue buff for Contractz, they've given it over to Jensen. They've secured both. That means that Scout won't have it on Galio. His wave clearing is significantly more risky. That and Jensen is now completely empowered to clear the waves, to leave lane, to help the rest of his team.
He got his 3 buff eventually, guys. You know he was looking for it at level 1, couldn't get it. Second round, there will be 3 buffs being worn by the side of C9.
It's going to give them this small gold lead, 700 there or thereabouts. Impact is behind in CS in that top lane. However, it's mirrored by Sneaky being behind in the bottom lane. Rather, Impact is ahead and Sneaky's behind. Regardless of that fact, it is the power is where you would expect it to be at this stage, but you got to give kudos to Impact for out-farming Mouse when he was the one that was ganked.
And now this doesn't look like it's going to be something crazy meaningful, but we're at the time in the game where EDG decide 5 people go bottom right now. That's just the kind of style that EDG will and always have had. They've got a Galio to do that this time around, so it's a very good comp for it. There is a random time in the game where they say, okay, we're just going to dive bottom and there's nothing they can do about it.
Bit of advanced vision here as Scout's just going to walk up. They don't even need to invest the ult just yet.
All right, Scout's looking for the taunt. Smoothie can interrupt it, does so. The Monsoon, but the double dunk! And Sneaky and Smoothie just get evaporated. Tower First Blood is available as iBoy continues to shoot that one down. 2 kills and Tower. EDG are here to play.
The play was by the book, but the damage surprised all of us. Exploded the Janna, who was just looking to disengage. But honestly, C9 needed to be more proactive in their defense. The teleport was late from the Cho'Gath. By the time he was there was nothing they could do. Losing the turret pre-10 minutes is often a reality of Caitlyn versus Kog'Maw, but the 2 kills, that's the cherry on top.
Yeah, the 2 kills probably shouldn't have been there. Cloud9 not aware enough or willing to defend that play, but the play is more than successful. It means that EDG are completely unlocked to just lane swap. This is literally the EDG special. I gave you notice. How does C9 not know it's coming?
Well, that's a question we're not going to have the answer for right now. Cloud9 decide they want to try do something in reply. Realm Warp comes down to the bottom lane as Contractz is around, but look at the minimap. There's support coming down. Great little Bramble Smash comes down as Contractz splashes to safety, forced to use the collateral damage to get even further away. Contractz takes down Mouse, but look at Cloud9 down low. There's one in reply. Impact's down. Jensen gets just as punched in the face by Scout.
The preparation of EDG this game is going to make many LPL analysts very optimistic. Perhaps we're going to go all the way to EDG SKT at the end of the day.
Whoa, iBoy, he's looking for Sneaky. Built over Peace Anchor comes down. Ace in the whole body block, but iBoy and Meiko, they want another tower, Papa Smithy.
It's a multi-step process, a winning 2v2 lane. Galio to stop the invades being as reliable, banning away some of the core members like Shen of the C9 comp. The shoe's on the other foot. EDG's the aggressor.
But you said the word, Galio. That is the champion that is doing all of this work. The taunt connecting. That damage was nasty and should never exist in a game that is this rating. EDG played that so well with the dive as well to even get the 2 kills and the first blood turret. Timing was incredible.
Sounds like Rusty's had to deal with some Galios in his time in solo queue.
Yeah, there's some darkness in that storytelling, Papa.
You saw the cancel teleport, you thought, okay, maybe this is over, but Galio walks down. Such is the reality of the hero's entrance, and even though they pick up the first kill, Contractz is never going back in there. Their health bars tell a story. Both go down, and EDG are making the plays and trading up defensively. That's a twofer that often leads to the big W.
And the concept here is fantastic from EDG because the Galio is still on the bottom side of the map. Clearlove's still on the bottom side of the map. Normally, and traditionally, when you win the bottom lane first turret and lane swap, everyone goes top lane. You then start trying to trade, and C9 make a natural and expected response to their first turret going down, bring everyone bottom, and try and trade the turrets. EDG adapts.
Well, EDG adapt, and they get themselves a 1,000 gold lead, 4 kills to 1. Tower First Blood as well. And if you look at the itemization, Ardent Sensor is already completed down in the bottom lane. And of course, that Abyssal Mask sitting for Scout in the mid lane. So starting to hit those spikes, they can make those plays again around towers. But kind of expected when you see this team composition, and for EDG, they need to push this further and not make the same mistakes they did against SKT and allow a big wombo, a big fight in the mid to late game to bring EDG back to reality.
And the camera's been focused on Clearlove, who, you know, he's definitely one of the old dogs. He's been around a really long time as a professional player. Sometimes he's super stubborn, Rusty. I'm sure you see this in the LPL. I watch VODs. He's never invading. He's never aggressively warding. He's not ganking. He's on his farming duty. And then there's games like this where he comes in with a proactive mindset, and you wonder, why do we only see this player sometimes?
Very well experienced player, but sometimes those old tricks, as you mentioned, just cannot be changed. But he's going top lane.
Oh, look at that. Demacian standard into Dragon Strike. Flash away from Smoothie. Sneakies is not available by some time with that barrier. The minion wave is slowly making its way up, and Scout was in the river. So that hero's entrance was available to him. Not going to use it just yet, but they've got the flash from Smoothie. Yeah,
Contractz very good awareness as well to be in the correct place. C9 barely get out. The Monsoon even being cancelled by Meiko's ultimate as the Lulu. Everything will slow down. It's all still a push for that top lane outer turret above all else for EDG. They don't get it this time.
Okay, game is slowing down a little. We need to take stock. C9 is still only 1,000 gold down, which, all things considered, maybe should be larger. And the man on your screen, Impact, he's got himself a plus 46 CS advantage. He's on a super tank in the front line, and this is a guy who was very important for Cloud9 during week 1. You can see that kill participation.
And those champions, consider where he got 78.6% kill participation. Shen, always going to be high kill participation with his immediate joining, but the Nautilus was also about the picks, about the rotations. He's very much lane focused on the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath pushes, he often doesn't lose, he often doesn't die, even in a 1v2, but he's not a playmaker. He follows up on plays being made. So it's a very different champion that, unfortunately, with the bans, with the smart scouting, they don't have access to a playmaker from top lane this time.
Yeah, definitely. And as the lane has played out, Impact has been doing quite well. You can see the CS differential there. So whilst the style isn't the C9 standard from last week, it's still proving to be effective to an extent. Yeah. It's just that they're not affecting the rest of the map. They're letting iBoy ramp up and start rolling. And maybe they're okay with that, because at the end of the day, it is still the Kog'Maw jab.
I'm going to challenge you on the word letting. I don't think they're letting him. I think iBoy is ramping up with the help of EDG. However, the one thing I'm looking at on the side of C9, you know, Cho'Gath being that sort of secondary engage, he wants that disruption from the knock-up and the silence being so impactful to follow CC. There's not really a hard primary initiator on the side of Cloud9. Sneaky's just going to get smashed away from. Summon a heal used there by Smoothie, and the support coming from EDG. Cataclysm can come down.
Going.
Dunk goes over the wall, dunks down Smoothie. Monsoon buys a few seconds time for the entrance to arrive. Scout uses the Winds of War to pick up another kill. Now Contractz and Impact trying to turn it around. The teleport was impactful, but the Nature's Draft locks down Cloud9. Contractz is dropped by iBoy, the 17-year-old massacring Cloud9. Impact's running for his life. Got some backup from Jensen, but I don't know if this is where you want to be. Jensen and Impact need to pull off a phenomenal outplay in the 2v4, and EDG, they got the kills, they got the tower, and they're getting the hell out.
EDG are able to just walk away. It was a little bit touch and go with Jensen being around the corner, but how late Jensen was there to the party as well. He wasn't able to crash it at the right time. EDG instead are able to crash down, get the structure, but once again, when they get the turret, they're getting kills with it. So every time they're pressuring, they're looking to dive more than take the objective as a priority, and it's proving successful thus far.
And Scout is on such a different role, from lane dominance to facilitator on the Galio. Can still push, still has lane priority. They have to use the heal preeminently, and they weren't sure they're going to hit by the Piltover Peacemaker. Clearlove and Contractz ships in the night, but this ship, it was going for a shipwreck.
Yep, it certainly was. A lot of damage to follow. I didn't know how to react to that one, but the combo was nice coming out. Once again, Galio, Jarvan, give that to an LPL team. You run the risk of having these dives be successful. Mouse shows up at the end, Pix gives the kill to iBoy, and then they take the structure on the way.
When we come out of the replay, Clearlove 3-1 and 4, 100% kill participation. Scout 2-0-5, 100% kill participation. That combo you talked about, Rusty, they are leading the way. iBoy 2-0-2 on that Caitlyn. Plus 30 CS, he's working towards that Zeal item completion. And this is exactly where the EDG team composition will cement the game if they can continue that beautiful set of dives and proactive plays.
And it's also a blueprint on how to beat what C9 showed in their 2 wins in week 1. Get proactive yourself, deny playmakers from the side of C9. And just like the Rumble Caitlyn draft we saw from WE, when the enemy team is setting the tempo, like SKT after those early ganks didn't work for C9, C9 unfortunately don't really have the tools or even the team comp to answer back.
Yeah, the curious part about how this game is playing out is Impact CS. We mentioned this before. That's nice to have. Mouse is still a tank. The bottom lane, the advantage for the Caitlyn is EDG is zoning them away.
You know, I love seeing that Maokai ultimate for a zoning tool on that siege. Unfortunately, a little early, as their minion wave was not yet prepared. Though I think that was more for the kills than the tower. I'll allow them some time as Sneaky steps onto a trap, takes a couple shots from iBoy. As the Rift Herald is summoned, that chip damage will chunk it down pretty low, almost in killing range, and Scout's got a flash taunt available to him. Flashes, hits the wall, still doesn't matter. Gets at least one onto Contractz. Wuhan erupts as EDG secure their 3rd tower.
And they will be able to just back away, reset once again. So a nice turret take, and these top laners need to just call it a day. They get Contractz. He's playing an AD jungler. He is being popped like a balloon every single time they find him, or every time the Galio Jarvan finds anybody. They're ramping up very quick.
Just to be clear to the viewers, whenever Graves is defensively wave clearing as EDG comes forward, the entire purpose of the draft has been completely subverted. The game is supposed to be Contractz invading and C9 being able to help him out, but a lot of those playmakers like Shen were banned away. The tempo of the game is being controlled by EDG. They've got the Cataclysmic entrance, the combination of the Cataclysm and the Hero's entrance. They don't even need to layer them because Contractz is just wave clearing. He's another squishy. He dies, and we talked about how some of the players, we just saw, of course, the Maokai ultimate, you know, it was a bit hit and hope. Guess what? When you have so many different initiation tools, when you have a Galio who can allow you to skip things like rotations and just jump in, you can make small mistakes. You got plenty more options coming up.
It certainly has not been used as the primary engage tool for EDG thus far. More of a follow-up or a disengage potentially for them, and that is the beauty of their composition with all the options that you mentioned. Any way that you want to engage, they have it.
Can't believe they let Galio through. Something that we've heard so many times over the course of Worlds this year, from play-ins to groups, and it is a terrifying combination that has allowed EDG this 3,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. 2 item spikes actually starting to come in. Goggles Stoneplate for Scout, Black Cleaver completed for Clearlove, that Zeal, Static Shiv, plus Berserker's Greaves and EDG. Man, they're already starting to contest vision around the Baron.
And C9's comp is front to back. They need to kill the front line, and good luck. You're gonna need a lot of time. Maybe some disconnections would help them out, because there's no way to get through Maokai, Jarvan, and Galio. And sure, there were nerfs to Caitlyn, but they were around her Q, they're around her laning phase. She can still right-click away with 2 items already complete, and there's no one to stop her.
All right, Flash Cleanse is available for Jensen. He gets away from one, locked inside the Cataclysm. There's nowhere to go. iBoy gets in range to pick up the kill, and actually that's a full team assist. EDG get the mid laner of Cloud9.
3 ultimates used, but no summoner spells needed by the EDG roster, just finding Jensen out of position. The most important part, Scout, ult straight away is mid lane.
All right, iBoy's in a little bit of trouble. Flash is available to him, but the Nature's Grasp buys some time. Remember, 5v4 in the best case scenario. Impact gets a good rupture onto iBoy, buys some time with the silence of that Feral Scream. Clearlove continues to chase down his iBoy. Crit after crit after crit, hammering away at Impact. Gets a shield from Lulu as the Feast gets some damage down in reply. But that's a death for Smoothie as well as Impact. Now Sneaky's the target. Scout looking for the Duran Taunt. I think it's on cooldown though, and Contract's gonna look to turn around. So that's 3. Justice Punch into the taunt. Cloud9 step too far forward, rooted down by Mouse, and that's another for EDG.
EDG are an initiation freight train whose only destination is the enemy nexus. They keep piling on. They don't need great vision. They have so many frontline tanks who can start fights, and all Cloud9 can do is rush home.
And with 3 people dead, this isn't just the turret, this is potentially the inhibitor to go down afterwards. Baron is not the primary objective, as you mentioned. It's engaging, killing C9.
See hero, kill hero. That's EDG's mantra right now. The death timers are so short, they can't even walk from inner turret to inhibitor without Cloud9 coming to defend. Oh, this is beautiful play from EDG.
We didn't have time to talk about. We said, okay, EDG was smart. They shut down C9's earlier plan. But then you look at what C9 did in the second round, and the last time these two teams faced, it was the Shen Graves that won them the game against EDG. This time around, scaling on the Ryze. Sure, an initiator, but Talia was available and would have had good pushing options, can open half the lane against a Galio. Going for scaling on a Ryze after scaling on Kog'Maw. When is Graves going to get the backup to ever do his role? And now he's just an extra Q to clear out some minions. Nothing else Contractz can start.
A really rough position for him to be in, and this is just getting better from EDG, even in the smaller details. The things that were missing in their first week, we're starting to see more and more of it. Not all recalling at the same time. Going back one at a time as we get to watch the fight that happens in this mid lane.
I mean, iBoy takes too many auto attacks, but he knows he has the rest of his team there. Guess how much vision EDG have on the bot side? Literally none. One control ward way down, and they're just happy because, hey, a Lulu AoE slow from the wild growth is enough to force fight.
Also remember, when every Cloud9 member's in vision, you don't need vision anywhere else, Papa Smoothie.
That's certainly true. The awareness from iBoy through that fight was something that's to be commended once again. Did the most damage, but that's because he's auto-attacking a Cho'Gath and even stops to Q the support mid-auto attack. Like, he is everywhere at once.
I mean, just try and watch when an enemy actually gets within any more than auto-attack range, closer than 650 units to Caitlyn. It just won't happen because of how strong the front line is. She's under no threat. Might be flashing aggressively prey style soon to try to get some more of these kills.
Flash and barrier available for this next potential fight. C9 luckily do not have super minions barreling down the lane. Inhibitor is exposed mid, and EDG now can start playing around some of these other lanes and options. You can see Mouse pushing down the bottom.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The inhibitor is exposed mid-quick shot, and that means that it's really hard for C9 to keep priority on the middle lane just because of how deep that lane goes. It's hard for EDG to push in like they are now and get the inhibitor, but if they pull C9 to the confines of their own base, they can run back to Baron if the inhibitor isn't successful either. Right now, they're still looking.
There is some rotations here from Impact and Jensen coming in from the flanks. Remember, no real traditional engage on the side of Cloud9. They're looking for a flank or a rupture, something, delivering Contractz or impacts the backline, maybe with a round warp. I'm looking at options, and you see no way to jump on EDG, and this inhibitor just gets chipped down.
And we've seen teams use Realm Warp just to send a Maokai into the backline, can send out an AoE, the big ultimate there to try and potentially get people. When you send Cho'Gath into the back, maybe he E's, maybe he misses his Q. It's not reliable, so they don't even have a reliable person to launch into the back like Nautilus was earlier last week.
It could have been a powerful pick for Cloud9. Unfortunately not the case. They need to figure out how to play from behind now. Love once again going for the standard and the dunk. Contractz going to use that collateral damage to hop out over the wall rather. But that's at least just a trade, ultimate for ultimate.
Just controlling the enemy jungle. The red buff area all belongs to EDG. That unlocks a free Baron, or it unlocks C9 having to face check to go near the Baron area at all. And that's the control that EDG want and will retain for a time. Of course, it's recall time at the moment, but with the amount of control they've already earned before going back, C9's job is very tricky.
Yeah, it really is. And if we actually take a look at the gold differences between the respective players, it's around 3,000 gold ahead for iBoy, 2,500 for Scouts, and a little over 700 for Mouse. I mean, the two people you really want, the frontline Mouse, Scout Galio, and iBoy just cleaning house from behind is just fantastic for Edward Gaming. And this keeps their hopes at quarterfinals alive. This is the first of many very important games for EDG, because if they can close this up, they play AHQ. And if they can win that, they play SKT. And then if some of the other results start coming in, they really need the stars to align to set themselves up for what would be a miraculous turnaround.
Full Fnatic.
Yes.
Which was also a miracle, to be fair. That was an incredible run from them. And it's not just EDG's victories, but this is one they can control. And right now, they're in the driver's seat, controlling towards that victory.
And fun fact, if EDG go back-to-back, everyone barring SKT will be at 2 wins. We know tiebreakers could be coming. We know crazy things could be coming. EDG are so far ahead here, and because of the comp they have so many different options to force the Baron, to peel up, to look for turrets. Maybe not take too much free damage, that's not the best option.
Can't afford walking into the damage dealers of Cloud9. When he's dunking the damage dealers, seems to look significantly more impressive. However, it's not going to stop the siege. Jensen takes a gigantic crit to the face. iBoy's got himself the rapid fire cannon and the static shiv as Cloud9 continue to play defensively. Super minions just cresting the steps of their base. And that means EDG will have some time shortly as someone goes to deal with that.
Now, important note is that iBoy is not going to be a QSS Caitlyn right now, so if Ryze ever finds him, he will still be locked down. It's important that Meiko does his job. It's important that the tanks stand in front of iBoy to empower him, to protect him, and allow these structures to drop.
I really want to know what a team fight looks like where the snare hits from the Ryze onto this Caitlyn. She's so safe right now.
Yeah, look at the zoning that Scout's putting down with that taunt. Charging it up, staying in the front line. If anybody steps too far forward, Mouse got that Nature's Grasp as a backup, and the vision control wards from EDG is textbook in this northern quadrant of Cloud9's jungle.
Usually we criticize teams for trying to barrel 5v5, but C9 needs something miraculous to stop watching their objectives go down.
All right, Rupture comes up. That's the fight they're looking for. Wild Growth comes down. iBoy survives. There's not enough damage from Cloud9. EDG, however, turn it around. Clear is the only sacrifice. iBoy continues to heal up, and Scout is sitting on the front line. Gets himself another taunt. Mouse down to 100 HP and running for his life. Scout gets a gigantic shield. Jumps back in with a Justice Punch. A little too overeager for EDG. Round warp now might be enough to close it out. Cloud9 trying to turn around. Throws out the overload after overload. Spell Flux comes down in the Rune Prison. Jensen takes down Meiko, and Cloud9 survive to live another day.
Cloud9 needs something crazy, and they find it. The knock-up followed up by the Ryze. That's what no QSS can do to you, and the team fight ensues.
The power of silence in those team fights, Papa Smithy. The Cho'Gath combination. So good.
The power of the Caster Curse too. I did not think that could happen, but after the free damage, EDG got too frisky, and now C9 just try to come and wrestle the game back with a creative Baron.
Creative, but also risky, to be fair. iBoy is still here. Reinforcements are arriving.
So much damage coming down. 90 caliber net. Why sometimes Smoothie's going to keep getting tagged down from the Baron in the back end. The Feast and Jensen's damage. They take down iBoy. Cataclysm comes out. Clearlove's running for his life as Mouse goes for the flash engage. Cleanse is not going to be enough to lock down Jensen as he continues to run for his life. No flash available to him. Now that Skype's on the front line, it's going to be up to Sneaky to do his best. Winds of War tagging him up, and Mouse and Clearlove, they peace out, and EDG, they stop the Baron.
Things have definitely been getting a little bit messy from the side of EDG. Their top lane push was not clean. Still going to be the minions pushing in the mid lane, but they do get back Baron control. They are, however, leaving chances for C9 to come back.
Biggest win is they stop Impact's recall. He doesn't have flash, he does not have Feast, nor does he have a teleport to come back with full health. This is super dangerous. They don't want to do the Baron. They don't have iBoy.
That means they don't get the Baron, gentlemen. And all of a sudden, Wuhan has got very, very tense. 13 minutes on the clock and that 6k gold deficit and that pressure. Look at iBoy getting caught.
Now, iBoy is one of the only ranged auto attackers next to Lulu. He walks up his tank line, did not know that he was going to look for pot shots as the minion wave died, and that means that iBoy does not get maximum DPS out of this fight, and EDG are taking 10, 11, 12 turret shots.
Yeah, I mean, he maximizes what he could given how it engaged onto him first with 100 health. That means they're able to trade in the first place. This takes an awful long time to find the kills onto EDG, and that's enough time for those who have been taken out early to get back to the Baron at the end of the engage. C9 still gets the fight, they get the small win, and you're starting to see that inkling in a positive direction. Here's the second fight, but we're back at Baron.
We are indeed, as both teams start to group up. Impact is all the way down the bottom lane. He's making his way up through the river. EDG are now looking for the engage. That's a good nature's drop, locking down Sneaky. He's the target. Justice Punch is interrupted, but it will not matter. 2 quick kills as Contractz and Sneaky get blown up. Jensen's the next target as he's being run down by Edward Gaming. A shutdown by iBoy.
They find the battleground they wanted. They can peel off from Baron so easily. Clearlove one-shot the enemy Graves because he's going to DPS build himself. Very early skirmishes, Saber. All end there. They can turn back onto Baron, and the cavalry, it's dead.
Even set 1 being clear, the mid-wave, so Impact can't take a structure. Straight to the Baron. The crowd knows they're starting to feel this game for EDG.
Oh, I've been feeling this game for EDG for a while, but it started to slip. EDG last week got caught out in team fights, and it didn't happen here, though.
They made that critical mistake against SKT. They made a critical mistake here, but it's papered over by how strong their front line is when you don't have to worry about turrets. Sneaky caught out because he was trying to poke around the side. Already one shot was the enemy Graves. They turn on to Jensen. There's freebies here for EDG, and C9 have to disperse in every direction.
Anywhere you would like, there is a kill for EDG. With the composition that you mentioned before, the freight train that only goes forwards, but they can go forwards when the Kog'Maw's already dead. There's not enough damage to round out a comp.
Clearlove has a Dusk Blade.
I love that. I love
Jarvan.
that.
All right, then.
He's popping people.
Talking about the items, so iBoy's got himself just a few, right? Infinity Edge, Mortal Reminder, Static Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon, and he's going up against a Rageblade Hurricane and the makings of Blade of the Ruined King. Sneaky is just so far behind the curve, because all of the gold has kind of landed inside iBoy's lap.
But you don't just look at Sneaky and say, very poor play. You died 5 times, you're down CS. The game was played around Sneaky. When the moment they had the Caitlyn, basically Caitlyn has matched the Kog'Maw at every point. Early turret, taking the top, early turret, and then threat of a dive at every moment. If there's no control of the map, Sneaky cannot auto-attack minions and get his gold up, so the gold lead grows every moment this game has progressed forward.
Yeah, from watching this game, I would never say that C9 individually are having any poor performances. Nothing has stood out like a sore thumb saying this is the reason they're losing. From an individual basis, it's the team play.
Yeah, and of course EDG, their team play has been near spectacular, very decisive, very in your face. You can point to a few blunders here or there, but now the biggest hurdle, knocking over the Nexus. The middle inhibitor will be killed for the second time this game. Baron is still up for another 2 minutes. The minion wave has been cleared in the bottom lane though, so a little bit of lapse here. It looks like the top wave is pushing against EDG. It's not the greatest setup for this siege. EDG is going to take them a little longer to get over these next few hurdles.
A lot of EDG's good moments were in the laning phase. They weren't necessarily in skirmishing or team fights. We already saw they skipped a couple of steps and almost lost all their lives at the top side. Right now though, they can still threaten the dive. See what happens.
Certainly could. Again, EDG's big flaws are usually ending games.
All right, Scout making his way forward. Flashes are available for all but Clearlove on the EDG side. And for Cloud9, all but Sneaky. That is significantly more scary if Sneaky's ever too far forward.
Contractz just used his ultimate, is now at half health with low mana and has gone back to base as well. He's picked the correct time to do it, but he used the ultimate for no particular reason to try and poke down iBoy, and now look at him.
All right, Nature's Grass comes out to split up the team. Rooting down Impact, he throws the flash backwards, Redemption's coming down, Scouts is on the back end, iBoy runs past the tower, that's the first of the fighters, Clearlove gets the second, the inhibitor turret will fall, it's Meiko that gets the final hit, and now the inhibitor as well.
And mid lane starting to get minions empowered by Baron as well. Very shortly, the supers are crashing, EDG want to end.
The Nexus turrets are all that remain in front of EDG, flash forward, iBoy's the target, but he manages to stay alive, flash still available to him, Jensen gets tagged, done, killed by EDG, the 22nd time that EDG have killed a Cloud9 member. The last remaining Nexus turret gets focused down. Edward Gaming keeps their hopes at playoffs alive.
The Raw in Wuhan is super loud, and EDG have guaranteed that I think we're going to all 6 when it comes to relevant games today. Their draft stepped up, their players stepped up. The fans are enraptured. They play again right after this as well. And if they can back up with a performance of that level, I think EDG is going to make this one hell of a night.